What is up, space pirates? This is your captain, the ever-charming Dr. Disaster, and we have some more evidence that Dragon Age: The Veilguard is shaping up to be a massive disappointment for BioWare.
We are so screwed.
The game is set to come out in a little over a week, and it is still languishing at number 35 on the Steam chart top seller list, whereas recent games like Space Marine 2 and Dragon Ball Sparking Zero were in the top 10 for weeks leading up to their respective releases, despite the fact that Dragon Age is a major AAA release with massive marketing being pumped into it from a franchise that is well known and beloved by many. Clearly the game is not going to sell particularly well.
I don't feel so good.
Well, now we have even more evidence that this game is not doing as well as it should be. Plenty of people have been arguing in the comment sections of my videos lately, saying that Dragon Age is a popular franchise, and that this game is going to sell a lot of copies, and fair enough. There are definitely a bunch of consumers out there who will auto-buy anything put out by a franchise like Dragon Age, but the hype for the generic average gamer out there just isn't there, as is evidenced by this chart here from Google Trends. Maybe this is why they're basically giving the game away now. Dragon Age is lagging far behind its contemporaries. I'm sure that if BioWare had one word to describe the situation, this is what it would be.
Disappointed!
But for those of us who have been asking for companies like BioWare to remove the controversial crap and just make fun games, we have a single word of our own. Alright me hearties, make sure you like this video and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and also, don't forget to follow me on Twitter, where I keep a list of games lousy with wokeness pinned to the account at all times for your reference. My handle on the platform is Dr. Disaster 1. But anyways, Dragon Age has not exactly been lighting the world on fire so far with its performance on things like the Steam charts, showing up at number 35 on their top seller list. If you go to the webpage for upcoming PS5 games that they're trying to get people pumped up for, Dragon Age doesn't even show up. I will leave a link in the description to this website for you to check out and see for yourself, but no, Dragon Age doesn't show up there at the time of this recording. There's somewhere around 10 games featured on this page, which you can scroll through, including Ghost of Yotei, which doesn't come out until next year, but there is no Dragon Age. That tells us an awful lot, I think. Nobody is pumped for this game, at least nobody other than the people who will mindlessly consume the game because it has a famous name attached to it, which it uses as a skin suit, and because the mainstream media has pumped out a wall of propaganda insisting that anyone who does not buy the game is a bad person by dint of not supporting the proliferation of their progressive messaging.
Don't ask questions, just consume product and then get excited for next product.
But anyhow, look at this Google Trends chart here if you want to get an idea as to how screwed Dragon Age: The Veilguard really is. I like using Google Trends every once in a while because it measures how often search terms are looked up on Google. It doesn't give you an exact figure as to how often something is searched, but it does tell you how popular something is relative to another term. We're going to start our analysis by comparing Dragon Age to Star Wars Outlaws. Dragon Age is represented by the line in blue, and Star Wars Outlaws is represented by the red line. This peak in the red line represents Star Wars Outlaws right when it launched at the end of August and beginning of September, We are currently just a few days over a week from the release of Dragon Age. In the week leading up to Star Wars Outlaws, that game reached 22% of their peak popularity. But if we look at Dragon Age right now, a week before its release, we can see that it only has reached 10% of the peak of Star Wars Outlaws. This means that the Veilguard is being searched up at a rate of less than half the amount of times of Star Wars. That tracks right along with the data that I've been getting from my contacts in the retail industry. But let's add another search term into Google Trends for further comparison. This yellow line added to the chart is Warhammer 40k Space Marine 2, and that game dwarfed the popularity of Star Wars Outlaws, which, at its peak, only reached 62% of Space Marine at its peak. But if we compare the hype for Space Marine 2 to the hype for Dragon Age, there really is just no comparison. In the week leading up to the release of Space Marine 2, that game hit 74% of its peak. Whereas, if we compare that to Dragon Age the Veilguard, leading up to the week before its release, Dragon Age is at only 6% of the peak popularity of Space Marine. In fact, Space Marine 2 is still searched up twice as much as Dragon Age the Veilguard, even though it's been out for a month and a half, and Dragon Age is just getting ready to launch. So yes, there is some truth behind what some of the Dragon Age defenders are saying. There are people out there who will buy the absolute heck out of Dragon Age because they buy into the corporate messaging. But let's be real here, this game should be doing as well as Space Marine, if only they let the game have characters that weren't annoying and unattractive, and they didn't push all the progressive political crap. Okay, and maybe you could argue that Space Marine 2 was a phenom of some kind, and not every game gets to be that popular. Fine, fair enough. But then Dragon Age should at least be doing as well as Star Wars Outlaws, or at least close to it, but it's tracking well behind. It is tracking at less than half of the hype of Star Wars Outlaws, which, as you may remember, was so unpopular that it caused the stock prices of Ubisoft to plunge. This is all just a bit more data, which suggests that Dragon Age the Veilguard may end up being a major flop relative to what this AAA studio put into the cost of making this game. But I'm going to leave it there. Drop your mockery of Dragon Age the Veilguard into the comment section below, and we will talk there.
Thanks for watching, me hearties. If you haven't already, your captain is inviting you to subscribe to the channel and become a part of the crew. Life as a space pirate may not be glamorous, but there's always plenty of